You're watching your local television network, TSPN. And now, authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now, authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, welcome to our May Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond show. I'm Kathy Boyd Fellure, your hostess for TSPN, and I would like to welcome two of my three guests tonight. On my left, Sarah Armstrong Garner, YA writer, and on my right, Shannon Dittemore.
Yes.
YA and middle.
YA right now. Yes.
YA right now, yeah. And I would really like to start off with getting right into their books. You can tell a little bit about yourself first, if you don't mind.
Well, my name is Shannon. I am married to a wonderful husband for about 11 years. His name is Matt. I have two children. My son is 8 years old, and my daughter is 4, so they keep me very busy. We're getting ready to start kindergarten. And that's my life right now. It's writing and children, and we're very involved in our church as well. So I work with youth and young adults there, which gives me great fodder for my stories.
It does.
Yeah. So that's kind of me.
You want to tell a little bit about your series?
Sure. I actually have a series right now with Thomas Nelson. So the first book is Angel Eyes. And this came out last year, about a year ago today, I think. And it's about a girl who went to the city to chase her dreams, and she came back because she found tragedy instead. And of course, there's a boy next door, because that's how these things go. And he gives her a gift that kind of changes everything, changes what she sees and how she sees the world. And so what we kind of learned from her story in the first book is that once you've seen something, it's really hard to unsee it. And that's kind of how the story starts, and that came out last year. Should I just show you the rest of them?
Yeah,
The second book is Broken Wings, and this just came out in February, so I'm really excited about this one. Hopefully, the idea was that it would be the logical next step in the story. It does pick up about 7 months later, and so things are moving along, but maybe not as smoothly as Brielle, our main character, thinks. Her dad's causing a lot of trouble and doesn't really like her boyfriend, and some demons are back in town, which she's been able to see since the first book. So it's interesting. That's where we pick up in book 2. And then the third book is not out yet. This is an advanced reader's copy, so it's not the final copy, but it comes out in August. And I'm very excited. Hopefully it's a good conclusion, I hope. I hope it ties the story up well. And I was very excited to get to tell the story how I wanted to tell it. And Thomas Nelson, my publisher, was great that way to let me do that. So they're my books. This is what I've been doing for 2 years.
And you want to share with them how far apart you had to write them?
I had a very sharp deadline schedule. My first book was due, and then 6 months later, I had to turn in the manuscript for the second book. And then 6 months later, I turned in the manuscript for the third book. Wow. So, yeah, that's a tight schedule.
Very tight.
Very impressive.
It's a tight schedule.
Yeah.
Especially with 2 kids.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Okay, I'm going to go to Sarah, and then you tell a little about yourself.
Well, I am a young adult writer. I am on my first book that is going through a contract with a publishing house right now. Yay. That we're negotiating with. So that's our big news at the moment. I am not as far along as Shannon is.
You will.
And hopefully. You will be. I'm also a screenwriter. That's about who I am.
She's also a photographer.
Yeah, photographer. And I have 2 beautiful babies at home and a wonderful husband. And my kids are 2 and 4 right now. So,
really
yes,
little.
We're getting ready for kindergarten, too. So it's stressful. They grow up so quick.
They do.
Actually, her son Elijah, we call him our amateur writer's baby, because she was pregnant.
How cute.
Yeah, I found out like the first week that I started
writer's group,
and I'm like, hey, I'm pregnant.
Well, writing's kind of like being pregnant. So
it is.
It is.
Her gestation period.
Exactly.
It is. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go back to Shannon, and would you like to read an excerpt?
Sure. I will read. How about a little bit from the second book, since this one just came out. My books are told from a couple different points of view. In the second book, a little angel named Perla gets us started, and she's a cherub, so I'll start from her perspective. And we start in hell, which I figure it only can get better from there.
I hope so.
Yeah, that would be the goal. So it starts like this. Hell is loud. Talons scratch at the stone floor and clack against the pillars circling the chamber as the great hall fills. Hisses and snarls sound all around, but the noise doesn't unsettle the cherub. She's been here before. Carved into the earth, deep against its core, in a realm undetectable by human technology, lies the stronghold of Satan. A massive structure formed out of darkness, molded and hardened into stone, Abaddon sits at the very center of the prince's domain. Perla's velvety black skin goes unnoticed as she slides behind a chunky pillar, pressing against the outer wall. But the cherubic spy isn't deceived by the darkness that surrounds her. This place was created for the prince, given to him by the Creator, and while the light of the celestial won't permeate these walls, even here the Father cannot be escaped. Unlike the demonic crowd scratching and biting at one another, this created one experiences peace. Her celestial feet are silent against the icy floor, her wings folded tight against her back. She keeps her white eyes pinched tight. Nothing draws attention like shards of light piercing the darkness, and darkness is everywhere.
Wow.
That's really good.
Very impactful.
So that's where this one starts.
Great beginning.
Thank you.
It grips you right in. I mean,
Yeah,
your
draws you
location.
right in.
I hope so. Hell is good for that.
Yeah, hell's
Start your novels in hell.
Yes.
Nothing like a little danger, stress, and the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, the tension's there.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. And it's beautiful writing, Shannon.
Thank you. I like words and I like novels. We were talking about that earlier with the book you have here. I like books that do words well. So
I do too. I love
yeah.
words.
Me too.
I think you have to be as a writer.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that doesn't actually that writes.
Not well.
That's true.
You want to read a small excerpt? Is that okay?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it should be. I didn't tell what my book was about, and it's about a woman that washes on the shore of Ireland in the 17th century with no memory of who or what she is, and it dives into this world of Ireland at this time where people were unsure of things, and I mean they're classed sadists and all that, which was, I mean, it was fun to write. But all right, so this is in the middle of my book. A fingertip traced her lips. His eyes, dark as the night, held hers. Who are you? He pulled her tight to him, begging her not to go. Don't do this, Emily. It will kill you if you don't come back, he whispered before sleep disappeared. Jocelyn woke alone in her moonlit room. The heavy covers were suffocating. She pulled them back, got out of bed, and walked the room, remembering the man's face, hand, smile, but not his name. Why can't I remember? She pressed her hands to her face, blocking the light of the full moon. Come back, his intoxicating voice repeated. How? A seagull pecked at the window. Jocelyn dropped her hands and faced the creature of the sky. It wanted in when she wanted out. What are you doing up this late? She asked. She approached the window and opened it. The bird took flight. If you wish, you can come in, Jocelyn offered, leaving the window wide. A gentle breeze swept in, playing with the dying flame in the hearth. Come back to me, the ocean called. Jocelyn turned on her heels and thrust her head out the window. The light of the moon gave view to the white-caped waves emerging from the Black Sea. Why? She yelled. Come back. Jocelyn's heart skipped as she turned and ran out of the room. The man in her dreams was down there, and the answers waited with him.
Wow.
Very
I
nice.
know some answers.
Little touch of mystery.
Right? That's how it should be.
Yes, it is.
Mystery everywhere.
It should be.
I had the pleasure of being part of the critique group that worked on this from the onset.
Yeah,
so
she gave so much help for it.
it has been a fun journey. Do you have a critique group?
That's how I started with Inspire Christian Writers. I started in a critique group back when Angel Eyes, I had finished it and didn't know what to do. I mean, I thought it was horrible, but I thought I had finished it. And I did. I found Inspire Christian Writers, and the red pens changed my world. So I think critique groups are immeasurably valuable. And right now, once I started getting on this 6-month deadline, I had nothing to bring to a critique group. I was just writing so frantically. So I stopped during this journey. But I look forward to being able to participate again soon, especially when I have something new to present. So.
Now, which group is the red pens? Is that?
No, I just like the red pens.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Inspire. Some of them-
you guys use red pens? We don't allow red.
Really? Do you really? No, I don't know that everyone uses them, but definitely some of them had red pens. And a lot of them did the little comments on the side. But, I mean, any type of feedback you can get at that stage. I didn't know any writing rules. I knew nothing. So they're like, this is a point of view issue. I'm like, what's a point of view?
I know. I started off like that too.
Did you? Yeah. Groups are really good for that.
Yeah.
It's better than sending
so
it to an
much.
agent and then finding out.
Oh,
you
yeah,
have no
that
idea.
would be hard.
Yeah, it is. It's great. So critique groups are valuable.
Yeah, we actually use the suggested format for critiquing. I find that really helpful. That's the one I was telling you
I love
about.
it. Yes, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, well, I don't like the red pens. You know what's interesting? The group I started up here and then moved to Morgan Hill, and that group, a woman named Susan Nicholson, she critiqued in green for hope.
Oh,
So even if you had to massacre that, she did it,
It didn't look
nicely.
bloody.
No, it didn't look bloody. And she said, that way you always have hope. And I carried that. I thought, I like that idea.
That is a good
Another writer up here uses green, Antoinette May. But we don't use red.
No.
Because it can be, you can see a sea of red.
yeah, you can.
And it is bloody. It is
does
bloody.
look
But we don't hold back either.
No.
We don't hold back. You like the red, huh?
I hadn't thought about it. And now I will.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You'll see it. Now
Yes,
you'll be
no,
like,
like,
red?
What did you do to my manuscript? Yeah, no, I hadn't thought about it.
Little difference of opinion there.
Yeah.
But we agree, critique groups are fundamental, I think, and Inspire's a great one, too.
I mean, especially when you're starting out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have that or the structure and
Yeah.
the people who are dedicated and telling you the way to go. I mean, you give it to your family, they're like, this is great. And you're like, really? Really? No, I think you're lying.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat you on the head.
Yeah.
Family loves us.
So put it in the cupboard now. Walk away.
I think if you can find a good critique group, you should too.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's available to you, other people are taking advantage of it, and you're at a disadvantage because you're not. So I think you really should look into
Very
it as a new
true.
writer. You know?
Yeah, that's one of the first things that I tell people, or I ask them, are you in a critique group? No, what's that? Some people don't even know. And some writers don't use them.
Yeah, some don't. I know a lot of screenwriters don't.
Are they afraid of their content being stolen?
No, I think it's just you're going through so quickly and that they just don't want to. And I've joined a screenplay writers group, and it's hard to get them to read your material. They're like, oh, let's just talk about the industry.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Kimberly Norton, another YA writer, will be joining us. So I hope you'll come back and see what else we have to say.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. Since you left us, Kimberly Norton has joined us. I'm thrilled that you made it. Thank you for traveling.
Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to have you. I was thrilled to have all of you ladies. I knew this would be a great show. I just knew it would be. So, Kimberly also writes YA, young adult fiction, and would you like to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, this was my very first attempt at writing a book, and I mean, I feel like you have to start somewhere, and this was my start. So, The Crystal Princess is the first of what would be a 3-book series. The second book I am currently working on. Unfortunately, I have 20 chapters, but I still need a little bit more before I can, pretty much put that one into editing. So, but I have really enjoyed this experience as far as writing. I've done a lot of mentoring for high school students, as well as I do talks where I go into elementary schools and try to get kids interested in writing and reading, because that's so important.
Yes, it
If
is.
anything I can do to help, pass through some good, I will definitely do that. So.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so anyways, that's it. You were talking about, the last time I think I saw you, you said we were at the Barnes & Noble signing.
Yeah, the one in Stockton with the Manzanita Writing Press.
Yes, and those are
You read
fabulous
that.
people, I know, but it's, I'm not big at reading in public. I don't mind talking in public, but don't ask me to read.
There is a difference, isn't there, ladies?
Or is that
you got to practice in front of the mirror. Okay.
It's not like an author stumbling over their words either.
That's the worst.
I know what it says, I swear.
I think that's a
did
big
write it.
part of it. You know what it says, and then sometimes you're like, well, wait, was that the word? You might skip some little word.
Dyslexia kicks in.
Yeah.
You're like,
I edited
did I
that
really
sentence out.
sound
Where
like
did it
that?
go?
That was a fun signing, too, because there were so many different genres.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
it really appealed to a wide audience. Some would come, some would go throughout the whole thing.
Right.
And I think you were the only YA reader that day.
I believe I was.
I think you were.
In the group. So, I love this part. I love the fact that when I had this book done, it's a Christian-based book publisher who did this for me. So there's nothing in there that's going to offend any parents. Anyone can read it. And I think I like that, being able to write that and not feel like, a parent couldn't pick it up, but then their 5-year-old, 10-year-old, whoever is interested in reading, I don't have to worry about, having something out there that's not appropriate. So.
Do you want to give a brief synopsis about the story?
Well, The Crystal Princess was a story that actually came to me while we were camping. And I got the idea, and I had brought note paper and whatnot for my children to write on while we were camping. And I actually just, the thought came to my head, and I filled up 2 notebooks while we were camping.
Well, that's a good spot, though.
Inspiration.
Yeah. So after that, I put it all down into the computer, which took quite some time to, what did I write there? When you're kind of, and after that, it came to life, and the story still plays in my head. It's basically, the story starts in Southern California with Kelly. She is starting her senior year of high school, and her life basically changes whenever she is abducted from her classroom. Wow. And when she's abducted, she's taken to meet her actual biological family, which she didn't know existed. She finds out she's actually from a family of witches, and they have powers. And where they live would be kind of centered in this area. It would be more like set up in the hills where there's the Indian culture, and the kids actually do go to the same school, where it's just so rural. It's the Indians as well as the whoever else lives in the area. So from there, she meets her mother and 2 sisters, and she is having a hard time dealing with the fact that she really is a witch. She thinks these people are crazy. Why am I here? She wants to run away. And then they actually also bring into that her dog, her biological dog, her dog that she had at her other house. And they're like, why is my dog here? Why does my dog talk? How is this possible? And then actually come to find out that her dog is actually her protector, which was sent with her whenever she was, adopted in that family. It was to protect her until they called her back.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's really fascinating.
I just love your cover.
Thank you. Thank you.
And all of the covers are actually beautiful.
Absolutely.
With them.
And who did your cover?
Well, it was done through Tate Publishing, and they actually gave me a couple options. They asked me what I thought would be a good cover, and so they did my idea, and then they gave me 2 other ones. One that was a little more childlike, with a crown and things of that nature because of the princess.
Yeah, the princess.
And I thought, oh, no, when I saw this one, I just knew.
That was
love
it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's mysterious,
Yeah.
You know what's inside those pages.
Well, the other thing that was kind of interesting is whenever it came to the Indian influence as far as the continuing on in the book, Kelly actually meets an Indian that she ends up later on falling in love with, and he has powers as well, so he's able to turn into a bear. So they were able to incorporate that as well. So there's throughout the book there's, I don't know if I can find one, but there's little bears actually on pages in the book. So
that's
something to also with kids or young adults to be able to kind of
tie
it together. So I was. Thank you so much.
Do you mind, Shannon, sharing a little bit about Jenny Lundquist isn't here?
Oh, yeah.
About her middle grade book?
Yes, these are my friend Jenny, Kathy's friend too. We have a friend named Jenny, and she writes middle grade. She actually writes young adult fiction as well, but right now the 2 books that she has out are middle grade. So her first book that came out is this guy over here, Seeing Cinderella, and it's fabulous. It's just the main character in it gets some new glasses, which she despises, as most junior high girls do. But then she realizes she can read people's thoughts, and so they were pretty cool glasses. Yeah.
I want those glasses.
Right? the way Jenny handles it is fabulous. A little screen pops up next to them, and it's got their thoughts on it, So it's kind of cute. It's a junior high, really great story. Ties in the Cinderella kind of theme really, really well. And then her second book just came out this last spring as well, and it's Plastic Polly. Another junior high story, and fabulous. She's got snarky characters. And this one is about a girl who ends up having to throw a talent show, much to her chagrin. And anyways, it's great. Jenny's got a really great snarky voice, and so these are fabulous. And Jenny and I will be doing a book signing together up in El Dorado Hills at the cutest bookstore in the whole world called Face in a Book. And the gal who runs its name's Tina, if you're ever looking to do a signing. And she's great. It's the cutest place ever. She goes out of her way to make authors comfortable, and she invites, which a lot of bookstores don't. You end up doing a lot of legwork. Exactly. You end up doing a lot of legwork. So she does a lot for you as well. And she's always looking for local authors. So she will be hosting us on Saturday, what month are we going to be in? Saturday, June 8th, and which is not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And it starts at 11 and goes until 1. Jenny and I will, it's a great atmosphere because it's a small shop, so you can really talk to readers and potential readers. And we will be taking questions on our books, on our writing, on publishing, on our we don't care, on anything you want to talk about. We're open. We are open to talk. We really want to go talk to readers. And we will have our books for sale. Both of Jenny's books will be there for sale. My first 2 will be there for sale. So I'm looking forward to it. And working with Jenny is fun. It's usually pretty noisy, and we make a ruckus.
It helps to be there with a friend, huh?
It does. We are always the table that's getting in trouble, so we're excited to bring that to face in a book.
Have you heard of that bookstore?
I haven't.
That's cute.
Have you, Sarah?
It's like
I wanna go check it out now.
Yeah, you go out
it's great.
Latrobe over towards the Regal Theaters.
Oh,
in El
okay.
Foothills.
In
It's
El
on that
Paso.
cute little main street, right?
Super cute.
You want to share a little bit more about you kind of, all of us go in different areas too. I know that's your main thing, but you talk a little about your screenwriting.
Yeah, well, I am going down to a pitch festival this weekend, and I've been doing a lot of rewrites, which has been time-consuming and sleep-depriving. And
Oh, yeah.
my kids are like, "What are you doing? I'm not your center of your world right now." But yeah, I mean, I'm so nervous for it, but I'm excited, and there's so much that goes into it, and I'm just hoping I come out with either an agent or a manager or sell something. So
And you're taking 4
I'm taking
screenplays?
three screenplays.
Okay,
I was going to take 4, but one's not ready.
not ready yet.
And then, so we just got done with the one sheets,
Those
which
are
are
fun,
little
aren't they?
posters. Yeah. I'll show after. I wish I could have, but I can't because I can't give away any of it until something signs through. So, but
Exciting, for all of us that write, eventually sometimes we end up in film. And so I'm curious, see your story in particular, which of course I do. I critiqued it. I see it in film. But do you
I hope so.
your book? Yeah, don't we all? Do you see them going to film?
I would like that.
I think we all would like that.
Good goal. It's
Bring
a
on
good
the
goal.
money. No, I'm just
It's a
kidding.
good goal. Every now and then I'll see somebody doing something, and I'll email my agent, and I'm like, this producer is amazing. We should contact them. So, I mean, who knows if it'll ever come to anything. Angels and Demons, and my books are a lot about seeing the invisible, so I think it would translate really great to film. So I
that
think
would be a great
to me, and I get a lot of that feedback, which I'm sure all of our parents tell us all the time, your books should be made into movies. So I'm kind of milking that a little bit too much probably. But I always, I don't know, do you have Pinterest pages for your books?
Yeah,
so,
I do.
Yeah, okay. I've cast all my characters, so I know who I want. They're all going to be way too old by the time anyone takes interest in making them movies, but I've cast all my characters.
you have to though. You
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
that
you
visual.
do.
You're like, oh, that would be perfect.
And it's great content for readers. They want to go, after they're done, a lot of times they want to see something else
Yeah.
about your book, and, so it's good. Pinterest is good for that.
Do you ladies use Pinterest that way too?
I'm addicted.
Yeah, my agent
No,
got
I mean,
me
I'm like,
addicted.
where's the club here? I gotta go. I gotta go talk. To
I see you on there all the time.
I know. Kids are
about-
on the bed. I'm like,
Yeah,
It's too easy. It is easy.
Yeah, I find it relaxing. Do you go on there at all?
haven't.
Oh,
We have a new job.
you start-
Our goal
Yeah.
is to get you hooked.
yes,
And
you
I think
will.
that-
it won't
Yeah.
take long.
No.
Not at all. No, actually, there was a request in my agency from one of the authors, anyone that does that has a board for their books.
Oh.
She wanted to, you just send her the link and for a couple sentences. Yeah, and she is, I really like her, Trish. So I thought I'd go ahead and
Goyer?
revamp. Yeah.
Trisha
Did you
Goyer.
see it?
I know, but I've done a radio interview with her, and she's fabulous.
Yeah, there's just wonderful writers out there, isn't
Yeah,
there?
there is.
It's a wonderful fellowship.
Yeah, it is.
And kind of help each other out along the way, I think. And shows like this are such a help to us
Yes.
to get your name out there, what you think, what you're doing. And so people can see how interesting you are. You ladies are interesting people.
It's good to know. We like to hear that.
Well, it's true. It's really true. And I think that there's new readers out there looking for someone like each one of us here.
Well, I hope so.
So, yeah, I hope so.
I know. You
I hope
got to be
so.
writing for someone.
If you come back and join us, we'll tell you a little bit more that you don't know yet. So, welcome, and we'll see you in a little bit.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. I'm going to talk a little bit about the possibility of Kim's book maybe going to film too, like we ended up, but I'd also like to share a little about Clark's Corner in Ione, a wonderful, our meeting place, our literary home, that's what we call it. We've been meeting there for 5 years since they first opened, and Sarah's part of the group. So
It's just making me hungry thinking about it. I'm like, where's my coffee and where is my turkey sandwich?
Yeah, they're pretty tempting, huh?
They are. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a great meeting place too. In the beginning, we sat in those wingback chairs, and now a lot of times we'll go in the back banquet room. So we have a lot of quiet, and our annual literary read is held in the corner stage, and that's kind of a big deal. That's a formal event they host there along with their others. So you might want to watch for that here. It's November 30th this year. And getting back to film, which of course the book's always better, right?
Of course, hands down.
The book's always better, but, the thought of The Crystal Princess going to film, is there anything you just want to really protect in your story? Like we have to say, but...
Yeah, I would say I really appreciate when a movie is very true to the book.
Yeah,
I
me too.
really hate it whenever they take so much away, because the writer puts their heart and soul into their words, and whenever it's just kind of skipped over and glossed over just for simple, movie theatrics. I understand you're to draw people, but at the same time, if the book was good enough to be made into a movie, there was a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would stand by that.
I think that's a central thing for all of us writers are the words. We were sharing about that during break. This is a book club book that I read for my book club, The Bookies, The Blue Umbrella. It's a YA story. I would not have picked it. So glad the person that did picked it. It's by author Mike Mason. I couldn't put it down. As a matter of fact, in the back here, I marked all the delicious words that, and anything that I thought of while reading it, including marking the pages. If you haven't read this, I highly recommend it. I also recommend it for book club, but even just for your own personal reading with all our spare time, which we all have, so much of.
It's like sleep or read.
He really brings the science into it, and it's a.
Is it contemporary? What is it?
It's an analogy.
Oh.
And it is. I don't want to ruin the surprise. I knew nothing about it, and I think you're better off specifically with this book going into it that way. Normally, I give a brief synopsis, but I could have kept reading and reading and reading. So, and it centers around a little boy, and your heart just goes out to him. That's one thing we have to do as writers. If our readers do not have a heart for our characters, right away, we're in trouble.
Yeah, it's true.
And so, I'd like to address that. Sarah, I'll go to you first. I know it's so much fun.
No, I know. But the funny thing is, I'm talking about my screenplays, going away from the books, but I just sent off my screenplays to a script consultant. One of them, they're like, oh, we like your protagonist, but we think that she's a little too passive, and you have to make her better. And then my other screenplay, they looked at and they're like, this isn't sellable.
Oh.
We don't like this character. And you have to change. So I've been going through these rewrites and just noticing that I'm falling in love with my characters even more as I dig deeper. And I mean, as a writer, when you first go through that first draft, you're like, this character works. But when you really get a heart and soul and they jump off that page and they're not 3D, not 2D anymore, and they're actually alive, and they have you're breathing air into them, and it's amazing as a writer to see that. But I can't imagine a reader being like, I hope they see that.
Well, that's where it all lands. Once we write it and it gets out there to the general public, looking for the people that identify with our protagonists and our antagonists. How many rewrites do you think you go through to put flesh and bone on that?
I think especially with your first book, in my case, I can speak personally. For my first book, I did several rewrites before I even, found an agent and moved on. Once you're on a deadline, the amount of I think you're more particular about the words you're just throwing about. I mean, you should write freely just to get the words on the page, but you're also very aware. It's hard to stifle that voice in the back of your head, that self-editor that says they're going to make you cut this. So the process becomes a little more streamlined when you're on a deadline. But yeah, I mean, I really get this like exhilarating overwhelming. I just love cutting scenes. Like, I know people hate that and they're terrified of it, but it's like a power moment for me as an author. It's because it's like I can take the time, I can waste time, I can write time because I need it in my head. I need the story in my gut, and before I know what happens next, I wouldn't have known what happened after that moment had I not written this scene. And I mean, maybe I am a bloody writer. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's like why I don't mind the red pens. But I love taking a machete to my work and just hacking it up. I love deleting words. I go back to edit and I don't add words. I'm like my everything shrinks, and I think that just really is important.
Do you think there's a time where we sometimes edit too much?
Yes. I mean, absolutely. I think sometimes, especially, and critique group is good for that. We were talking about this earlier because they can go back and say, like, I don't know what you're talking about here. Like,
you took too much out.
Yeah. Give me a tag. I don't even know who's talking anymore. You've edited so much, and you need readers, beta readers, and.
Do you have a critique group? You missed that part.
No, I don't actually. I had just stepped back a little bit from after getting the first book done, and I think sometimes that's okay. As you said, with family and children, sometimes life is just really busy. And if you don't have an agent or someone who's already purchased your next work, it sometimes is able to wait a little bit. So that's currently kind of where I had been at.
That's where I am too. I mean, I've finished my trilogy now, and just taking time is very important, and to find out what I want to write next. I mean, you're committed. I mean, especially if you sell something, and now you've got a series to write, you're with those characters for a couple of years. And even if you decide you hate them, you are now contractually bound to tell the rest of their story. So you want to write what you love, I think. I think you're right.
And I think we do that. Don't you think we write what we love?
I do. I think inadvertently. I think you can try to do something else. I dare you. But I think you're going to come back to it. Yeah, I don't either. I think you'll come back to it. It's exactly what it is.
You're like,
yeah.
I can't write this.
So Shannon and I are agented, and you guys are pre-agented. I love that word. That's
great word.
So you're signing a contract then without an agent.
Yes.
Without an agent.
She'll have an agent soon.
So yeah, you will.
That's what I'm hoping, because I haven't signed it yet, and I'm hoping that I have a couple agents that I want to line up that do both literary and screenplays, and I don't want to have an agent for
this and that.
I mean, I just want one person where I can be like,
Who does everything?
here's my stuff, take care of it now. But I'm hoping with the publishing contract that I might be able to land an agent with that and then sign.
Guarantee you'll be
You
able
will.
to.
It will make a difference.
Absolutely.
Agents really like contracts. They do.
Yes, I bet.
They do.
They're like, money.
They do. They like them.
And agents have a thing they call the waiting period, the waiting time in between, like where you are now.
Yeah.
My agency has a blog, and my agent blogs every Tuesday. I live for that. I read the other blogs too, but I live for her blog. They're very helpful. And in that waiting time, how do we use our time? How do we... I don't have a young family at home anymore, and I didn't get to write like this when I did.
Yeah, it's hard.
I raised 4 children, and I didn't have that opportunity that you're having. You're going into this much younger than I have 4 children's books out, but my agent represents my novels.
Okay, yeah.
And so, what I like that idea of the waiting time in between. You kind of described it, and you're going between your YA book and your screenplays.
Yeah.
And so, when you come back from your pitch conference in LA,
Yeah,
then what?
It all depends. I have to have another book out within a year, and then if I get writing assignments for screenplays, I mean, I'm just going to be pulling my hair out, I think. But you just have to do what you love to do, and
there is downtime. You know what I mean? You will find there will be downtime.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
There has to be downtime.
yeah.
It's
If not, coffee. Just absolutely buy stock in coffee.
my husband is a coffee roaster, so if you
I'll be calling.
Hey,
hook me up.
Can't do it on water, that's
no,
for sure.
absolutely not.
Well, and are you thinking of doing another follow-up to the first book?
Well, yes, it's set up as a trilogy, and so yes, and so I don't want to give away anything.
Yeah.
That's hard,
You
I
have
know.
to buy the book when it comes out, which is hopefully in November, and it's called From the Sea, a working title. So, but I don't want to tell you anything yet.
And can we say what genre?
Yeah, it's most definitely a fantasy adventure.
I like the book, so yeah, I'm biased. What can I say?
Do categories baffle you? Like I cracked up.
I am
Like
so.
mine are shelved at Barnes & Noble and paranormal romance, which I think fits.
yeah,
So that's where a
it
lot of the angel books are. On the back of this thing, it says fantasy.
Yeah, see, I get so confused. They're like, well, just narrow the genre down, and I'm like, well,
Everything's
it
so
has
crossover.
fantasy,
Yeah.
it has
Yeah, it is.
adventure,
It
it
is.
has romance. I mean,
And where you get put on that shelf makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And we were talking about that a bit before we came on the air. I think it's huge. And shelf space right now is
Limited.
very limited. And so it's very important that you get shelves somewhere people can find you. Absolutely.
And so I think the four of us are within both markets, ABA, CBA market.
Yeah, but mine were a crossover, so they absolutely pitched mine too. I have a Christian house that publishes me, Thomas Nelson, but they absolutely pitched across the market. So
Mine's more towards ABA.
ABA market.
Yeah, I sent it to a Christian publishing, and they said, nah, not quite up our alley.
But what's interesting is I wonder if you sent it now, what they would say, because
It's changed.
It's swinging.
How long
It's
ago
very
was
different.
that?
It's swinging.
Maybe 3 months ago.
Yeah, the door's
well, you
swinging.
think, you think about the Zondervan imprint now, Blink, which is going to be looking for more ABA mainstream titles. So it'll be interesting. The market is something to watch, I think.
Yeah.
Especially the CBA side.
It's always changing.
I'm curious, are you going to stay in the YA?
I will stay YA, absolutely. I think so. I mean, I think that's my voice. I think it's my sensibility. I'm certainly not going to write Amish or romance. It's just not my thing. No, I mean, and you know what? If I was writing to make money, that's what I should try. But I don't, I don't think that way. So, yeah, no, I'll stay YA. Whether I stay CBA or not will depend largely upon what I choose to write, I think.
What about you, Kim?
I would always stick YA. I think I can actually remember that time in my life, and I pull little things from that part and I put them into my people. So, definitely.
Yeah, we have our brand. We're supposed to have our platform within our genre.
Yeah.
And that's an adventure too, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Everything's crossover now, so it becomes complicated.
That's why I like Pinterest. My agent, Wendy, introduced me to that, and I wasn't on it at all, and now I think, this is a good way to help get it out, because there's just a huge interest in it out there. Beyond us, beyond you, because they don't all, on a long spread, if we're not famous, know who we are.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, we're going to come back in a little bit and talk about a few other things, and I would really be interested in hearing your hopes and dreams for the future. And I have a few to share, and I would also like to again go back to the critique groups, because that's how Sarah and I met. And we've gone on a long journey since then. It opens doors, so I would hope you, our viewers, take that into consideration if you're a writer and think about it, and come back and we'll take you on a journey there with us.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond.
I'm so glad you came to end the show with us. Welcome. My name again is Kathy, and this is Shannon on my right, Sarah and Kimberly. And we're going to talk a little bit about the bookstore downstairs. It's actually a book haven for any writer, reader. They have diversified recently at Hine & Company, and they have a wonderful selection of theatrical clothing, not just their books, antiques. They have new and used and rare. I just love their rare section. They have an upstairs now that hosts a area where they're going to be doing Sherlock Holmes and murder theater.
Oh, I want to go.
Yes, fascinating. And you can hold
Coming back.
signings and reads, actually. Sarah Luck Pearson's group meets there for their workshops, nonfiction, creative nonfiction. Wolf and Linda Hine, wonderful, wonderful. You cannot come to this area and not go into that bookstore. And I'm going to go from kind of that theater aspect that they have added to that store onto Shannon, because she actually did theater in Sutter Creek.
I did. When I was 19, so, yesterday, I did a show in Sutter Creek. I did The Crucible with Main Street Theater Works, and I played Abigail, so it was fun. I got to be kind of witchy, which I'm sure you know. It does. I've been fascinated ever since. I love it. I have lots of great memories of Susan McCandless there, and Alan Ponce and Ron Adams. There's a lot of people that frequent that theater, and I was a kid, and they've always been so great. I find them on Facebook and hope they remember me, But it's been, since then, though, I've been in love with Amador County, and I drive up here with my kids. I bring them back at Christmas time to walk through the different little towns, and it's freezing up here compared to Citrus Heights and where I'm from. But it is, I love this town. That's when I discovered it.
Part of your passion.
It is. I absolutely love it. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actress, and there's a whole story in and of itself. But I think that
Maybe one day you can write about it.
I get to be a storyteller, and that's the same
You're
thing.
living lives right through there.
And this is easier to do from home with my children.
Yes.
Than
On
plays.
set somewhere.
Absolutely. So for now, this is my outlet.
No practices to go to.
That's exactly the problem.
No
Absolutely.
rehearsals.
Absolutely.
Sarah, getting back to you, want to share a little bit more about the screenwriting?
Yeah. I mean, tying in with I took an acting class once, and I'm not an actor. I am or actress. I
could
get
turn
stage
you
fright.
into one.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no. I'm one of those people who's like, I got the lines down. I get up there and I'm like, I mean, that's literally what I turn into. But I actually sent one of my log lines for a screenplay and to a producer in London, and they're interested. So we
Wow,
heard
in
some.
London.
Yeah,
Exciting.
it's a small production company. But
I want to tag along.
I know.
When you go.
When we go.
I'll carry your suitcase.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're like, "We'll buy that. You stay home."
Yeah.
Just as long as they buy, I don't really mind.
We have a mutual friend, John, from our critique group, too, that just moved back to Sweden. And so he is just starting up everything. They don't have a lot of what we have here in Sweden. He's kind of using what he learned here between California Writers Club and amateur writers to format that in Sweden. So we're going to Sweden.
I hope so. I want to.
Again, I shall carry suitcases anywhere you want me to go.
We'll pack you along.
Exactly. I
You
can
travel
pull
light.
that.
Kimberly, I would love to know if you have another passion.
Well, let's see. Besides being a mom, being a hairdresser, and writing on the side, all of the above. I mean, I think that, like most of us, the only hours that we fully get to donate to this would be midnight to 4 or 2 or
true.
And I think, like you were talking about, putting breath into your people, they live in me. I think when I write my book, I see it like a movie playing in my head, and that's where, in a way, for you to say it actually go to the big screen someday, I'm like, wow, I can see it because I already see it. You know what I mean? But
And you don't want them to mess that up.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's in there already.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I hope for great things, and if they don't come yet, I will wait because they will come.
Don't I think we all kind of go around writing our story in our heads?
Oh, yeah.
And then you have to get it down on paper because it doesn't always stay there in full content as
Right.
when it first comes to you.
Yeah.
And I think I do my book, and I have been told by the critiquers that they see it on film, but you see it play out that way when you're writing it in your head, don't you?
I think too, our culture has set us up for that a bit. I mean, we're constantly. I mean, we have trailers for books. We've got videos for everything we do in life. You know,
It's a
trailers
very
for soda.
media.
Exactly. I mean, there's actors advertising every single thing we do in life, and it's only natural, I think, that we would think that way about books. And
We want to see it.
It's very
we
visual.
do. We are
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's visual.
We want them
have
to
our
read it
imagination.
first.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and I think we have a healthy. For me, I think we have a healthy respect for anybody who uses their imagination to tell a story. And so, watching someone else, it's just amazing to me.
Well, in the early days, I'm sorry, Sarah.
Oh,
they
sorry.
were storytellers. It was all verbal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And then acting came into it because then they acted it out.
Yes.
You want to go ahead?
Oh yeah, I was going to say. I mean, when I read a book and I have the pictures in my head, I love watching the movie to see how close my imagination was to what they got on film. And when they don't do it right, I'm like, you did it wrong.
Throw things
You
at the screen.
did it
I know.
wrong.
I could have written that better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you ever think of the actors or actresses that you would like to see?
Oh yeah, I've cast it.
You think they'll consult us? What are the odds
Right.
of that? Yes.
Give me a call. No. I don't think
Call my
anyone's calling.
agent.
Yeah.
That's a fun part for me. My one of Lorenzo is a new person in our group, and his dad's from Hollywood, and really big time. And so he sends me these little emails. He's a reader for my first novel. I'm almost done with the second. And he just reads it. He meets one-on-one with me, and I don't just have a critique group. I meet with a male and a female reader.
Wow, that's interesting.
Because it's a
Yeah.
fresh viewpoint, and I get the male and the female
Absolutely.
viewpoint. And it's a very helpful. It's very, and anyway, I will get these little emails from him. So-and-so is this character. And
Oh, he can cast it.
yeah, and that's really good feedback
Yeah.
because I'm getting the feedback of how the reader sees those
Yeah.
characters, so it's not just me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we get so into it.
You have nothing else to go off of but what you feel.
Yeah.
So it's good to have, other people's interpretations.
How do you feel like since you came to Amateur Writers, how that helped or changed or didn't or what?
I mean, if I would have wrote my book by myself, it would be really bad. But
You have amazing creativity, Sarah.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's made me more secure in my writing, and it made me go from, I think, I can write a book to I can. I mean, that support was huge. And I had it at home. I have a wonderful husband that completely supports me, and a family that's all around here that completely supports me. But they don't give you what you need as other writers can.
yeah.
And so me as a writer, I grew with it. So
Yeah, do you guys, do you have readers?
Well, I did, especially for Angel Eyes, yes. I think as my deadlines crunched and got closer and closer, you just have less time to send. I don't have time to wait for somebody to read and give me feedback. So I had my, of course, I have editors that do that now, and I've got a couple editors for my books who I love, and I hear horror stories of other people at traditional houses who don't like their or editors or whatnot, and I just feel like, thank you, Jesus. I feel so grateful for mine. I do. At this point, that's kind of where I'm at. Jenny and I, we've talked about it. We've both been on deadlines, and it's really hard.
Yeah, that deadline, that's a pressure that
It
we
is.
all live with.
Yeah.
That I think it's a developed discipline,
Oh, yeah.
and it's the kiss of death if you don't meet it. It really is something we have to hold and be on. That's our requirement. We have to hold and be honorable to that. And I think that's where critique group comes in handy, is they keep you accountable.
They do.
On your toes, dancing, whatever, the swing, or timeout. You're not on the dance floor. It's for me, I find it extremely helpful in that way. Sarah's critiqued my first novel and most
part
of
Did you get all the way through it
Yes.
in your critique group?
Yes.
I would say that if I had a frustration, 1,500 words at a time in a critique group is pretty standard. And if you meet twice a month, you're not getting through a novel
No.
anytime soon.
Right.
So that can be, that might be something where you consider having just a beta reader or a friend of yours that would read another writer, maybe somebody who's better than you that would better you, or sometimes you have to kind of look outside that critique group circle
Yes.
the
to get
beta
through
readers
something, to get it
me
done.
are invaluable.
Do you have
actually.
several?
Yes.
You have the two.
I have the
The
two.
two.
And actually, I had more for the first book I didn't write my first book in 3 months. 6 months. It was a couple of years.
Oh, so you
So
have.
I had actually 3 different male readers.
Wow.
Vince Murdoch was one.
Now, would you classify yours as romance, though?
No.
No. What would you classify it as?
It's contemporary women's literature. It's
Okay.
not romance.
So having a men's point of view is...
It was really important for me because I come from a family of women,
Yeah.
a lot of women, and my poor dad, and he wasn't around a long time. He died young. So my male characters were really wanting. They needed help.
Were they girly?
The men told me no, but they were not three-dimensional.
I think it's so easy for us to go girly.
Yeah.
I think if we're not careful.
Yeah, if you're not if you don't have your character mapped out, yes.
Do you outline?
It's a good sticky question, isn't it? I'm a pantser halfway. I'm halfway. Like I will write for a bit, see where I'm at, and then I'll plot the next couple chapters, and then write, again. So, yeah.
Not everybody outlines.
No.
No. Well, ladies, before we go, because we're about to close, I would really love for you to speak, starting with Kim, share your website.
My website, I believe, is www.kimberlynorton.com. I believe it's been a while. And if not, the book is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
There you go.
And then you can link from there, because I'm not sure.
And are you on Facebook?
I am on Facebook under
Okay.
Kimberly Norton. So
Okay. And Sarah?
I'm off Facebook. I had a web page and I took it down. It's being remodeled. But I'm on Facebook under Sarah Armstrong Garner.
Pinterest?
Yeah. And yes, you can find me on Pinterest.
I know you can. And Shannon?
I think I'm everywhere too. I'm on my website's probably the best way to get all my links, and that's shannondittemore.com. Just my last name or my first and last name, and it has my links to Facebook and Pinterest and all of our
And you guys,
ridiculousness.
are you on Twitter?
Twitter.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. on
Say
Twitter.
my links are on there. I'm Shan Diddy. I don't
Yeah,
know.
LinkedIn also.
Yeah, LinkedIn.
I'm not on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I had to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
keep
we
getting
do
those
have to
on
draw
my
the
phone.
line.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have one.
Yeah, that's more professional. I'm on there too. But
Yeah.
the Twitter is an interesting, it's so fast. Everything's so
Yes.
fast. But most people go to Facebook. I think Facebook's probably on our website.
It's pretty common right
Pretty
now.
key. But if you look on all of those sites, you can find all 3 of these lovely ladies and look them up, find out some more about them. You can contact them, send them an email, and they'll be happy to sell their books to you. You can go on the 8th of June to Shannon's book signing
Yeah,
in
11
El
o'clock.
Dorado Hills, 11 o'clock, book and a face.
Face in a book.
Face in a book.
So close.
Face in a book. And for now, that's the end of our show. Come back next month, next Wednesday for film screening. And thank you for joining us. We were happy to have you.